Yo, what's up, man? Raw and Uncut, back in this, raw content, raw reaction, back with another video. For those that's watching, I appreciate you liking, sharing, subscribing, all that, doing the whole nine. Thank you. I appreciate you. To those that ain't seen me yet, come check it out, see what you think. Coming off that 7-day ban isn't easy because they make you start all over again. They take you out the algorithms, and when you get a strike and all that, it's all gravy. But I'm still here, and I'm still pushing. And I ain't gonna stop. So to those that don't like it, that they keep seeing me here, it's all good because I ain't going nowhere. At the same time, today it's a little bit different. Uh, you see, my mom had a birthday yesterday. She would have been 71 years old. To those that know my mom, you guys knew what kind of person my mom was. She passed away May 18th, will be 3 years that she passed away from stage 4 lung cancer. So, what I want to do today is I kind of want to dedicate this to her a little bit and talk about how my mom was my biggest fan when it came to the music, came to the rapping, to doing the music. You see, my mom and my dad are a big part of the reason for being musically inclined. Since I was a youngster, my mom and dad had music on, but what they would be listening to would be a lot of Spanish music. Los Caminantes, Vicente Fernandez, Bronco, Los Temerarios, Los Tigres del Norte, Chalino Sánchez, Antonio Aguilar, Juan Valentin, Mercedes Castro, just all the old classics, Carlos y Jose. My mom liked Leo Dan. My mom liked all the old love songs, Los Muecas. She loved them. Los Bukis. Just all the old classic, old school Mexican music, the oldies, the good stuff. My dad listened to a lot of the same stuff. And, you know, when I was like 8 years old, we walked into a Red Monkey. I've told the story before. It used to be the biggest telecommunications company around. You can go in there, buy your CBs, CB radios, everything that came along with antennas and other electronics. And back then in like 85, 86, 80, 84, in 84, the Walkman had came out for cassette tapes. So my dad ended up buying me a Walkman there. And he got 3 tapes for me. He got Richard Pryor Live, Red Fox Live, and Cheech and Chong, Get Out of My Room soundtrack. And I played the shit out of those in the truck with my dad, and I would listen to that stuff. And then I started listening to other stuff. As I went along, my dad would give me another tape of his or whatever, and I would start listening to Mexican music and then Michael Jackson, stuff like that. But when it came to writing music, I wrote my first lines. It was a poem I wrote when I was probably about 13 years old. We lived right there on Tyler and Fresno Street, 2531 East Tyler. I was sitting outside bored and I had my journal out there. I just started writing. And before I knew it, the words I was writing were rhyming anyway, right? Had a certain rhyme to it and a feel and a reason. And I just continued to write. Never thought about rap music in terms of writing or rapping, none of that. I just loved to write. And my mom, she'd see me on the porch writing and stuff like that. And then as the years went along, I would write more and more and more, but I didn't really get the idea of anything to start maybe trying to rap or thinking I could rap until I remember it was like 1992, probably like 16 years old, fresh out of juvenile hall. My brother Hector was always messing around with shit when it came to music. We used to take whatever tapes we had, like, we had The Chronic, we had Real Motherfucking G's, we had, Spice One albums, we had a bunch of different tapes. And we would have the dual cassette tape player, and we would make little mixes. Like we would get the Dr. Dre, we get like The Chronic, and we take, little parts where, like when Dre was like, "Yo, easy," or shit like that, and we cut it, bam, and we be recording on one tape all these little pieces of different other songs, like Yo Dre, brr, brr. We'd have a tape where we had sound effects for machine guns on a song, and we'd have that Yo Dre and stop it there, record that, and then put the tape in, find the spot manually that had the brr sound effect, put that, record that after that, stop that. So then it would be like Yo Dre, brr. But we wouldn't stop there. We'd get other tapes that had sounds of bombs and all kinds of fireworks or whatever, and we would record it to their pieces, 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 pieces. And we would have, Easy-E saying, Yo Dre, and you'd hear brr, brr, ba, 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 boom, boom, ba, da, ba, boom, 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 all kinds of different sound effects. And then we'd have pieces from Above the Law, pieces from Easy-E, pieces from Snoop Dogg, like that whole Ruthless Easy-E thing. We make our own tapes of them on one tape talking shit to each other. So you'd have Snoop Dogg saying, with my dick in your mouth, bitch. And then you'd have Easy from What Would You Do? A piece from there being like, talking shit about Snoop Dogg, and then a piece of that, and then Pat, and it would be going back and forth. So one night we were bored one day, and my brother we had this single from OPP. It was the OPP single by Naughty by Nature, and on one side it had OPP, and on the other side it had two instrumentals. It had OPP and then a bonus one. I forgot the name of the song, but the instrumental wasn't all that. But the fact that it didn't have no words on it was cool. So my brother was fucking around with these headphones. He busted them in half, plugged them in where the microphone goes. He was running that beat, and he just started recording himself talking into the speaker of the headphone, using it as a microphone. He busted them in half, and he plugged it in, and he had two of them. It came out into two, right? Because he busted them in half. And we were using it. We ended up using it as a microphone. We didn't know that you could use it as a microphone. And we ended up recording a song with that. And the song was called GTA. And we were talking about, because my homies were always stealing cars, and we were getting in trouble for GTA all the time. We're hanging out with them like dumbasses, right? So that's what we were on back then. I was probably like 16. My brother was probably about 13 or 12, something like that. 13, 14. And we made a song called GTA, and we were just talking like, GTA, stolen vehicles. I'm getting in your shit and I'm taking it, or something like that. I'm getting in your car and I'm taking it. And I'm taking your shit. I'm getting in your ride and taking your shit. GTA, tilted vehicles. I'm getting in your car and taking your shit. And we really weren't rappers, but we were just recording and talking shit. Well, the homies, Elias, Caesar, and Oscar, came through that night, and we played them the tape that we recorded. They end up taking it. Elias Beckas ends up, hey, let's take it. We want to bump this shit, fool. All right, cool. They took it and never brought it back, and they said it stayed in the fucking car that they got chased in, and they left it in the tape deck. So that tape floated around somewhere. Somebody got it. But that was 1992. I continued to ride through the years when I was in juvenile hall, all the years when I got out. We lived in a motel. My mom didn't want me leaving. I had a notepad. I would write in there, and then before I knew it, I was writing like songs. They were like songs. And my mom always saw me doing that. And she liked the fact that instead of me taking off from the house now and getting in trouble, I'm just kind of sticking around listening to music and writing a lot, starting to get involved into the drug dealing aspect of it. And, it was just one of those things. So as years progressed, and then I started to record music when I got out of jail, I found Hip Dog James Johnson with Beatdown Productions Multimedia. Met him through a friend of ours that we both knew at the time, but I didn't know Hip yet. But I knew Ray Settle, a really good Fresno sound man, musician, the whole nine. This guy, when it comes to the technical side of it, these guys, they're top notch, man. And he saw I was having issues with this one guy that was supposed to be making me beats, where we ended up almost kidnapping this dude, going to jail and all kinds of shit. He burnt me for money, wasn't giving me no beats. Ray found out, pointed me in the direction with Hip. Rest is history. So when I started recording music, my mom was already my biggest fan from before that. So when I started recording music and she seen that I had an avenue, that I had an angle to get out of this life, to get us out of this life, and that's what I was trying to do. Once I wanted to ghostwrite for people, and I couldn't find anyone that was willing to learn, that I could teach to rap, that had the same ambition, that had the same just get up and go and willing to work. So I could teach them. I couldn't find anybody. So I ended up just rapping myself. Never wanted to be a rapper. I never wanted my face in front of on CDs because I was drug dealing. I didn't want people knowing what I was doing, but it is what it is. It's, my albums, my early albums, I was like, just everybody knew me. So me saying what I'm saying on an album wasn't startling to people. They're like, Rob's being Rob. That's Rob. That's what he does. So when my mom seen that I was about to make it, when I met Suge and he gave me some money and I started making money, I had like my little street team. I had my CDs in the stores and doing stuff like that and selling some here, selling some there, making money off of it. That's the thing about rappers. A lot of them ain't got a street team. A lot of them will never put a street team together. The old school tactics, they never die. The old school way never dies. There's one way to do it, and that's the old school way from the ground up, right? I had a street team. I had a couple of them. They were going out, pushing my music, selling it, and bringing me the money back. And that helped me a lot as well. Word of mouth was a mug. So everybody, there's a lot of these rappers out there right now, these youngsters that are out there, they can say what they want, but they all remember seeing one of my CDs floating around and they all heard it. And one of them or all of them was like, oh, that dude sucks. He's garbage. He's this, he's that. But none of them were doing what I was doing. There wasn't many rappers at the time, late 90s, early 2000s, that were doing the style of rap that I was doing from Fresno. There wasn't. Planet Asia is a Fresno legend. He's never been on that street West Coast rap. He's always been the hip hop type of dude, battle rap type of guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's it because the dude is great. He's a legend. One of the best Fresno artists out there. You got to throw Killa Tay in there as far as guys who kind of made it, right? And the whole time, my mom would always be encouraging me. When I would be going to the studio, she was happy to hear my songs, all this stuff. And we went through a lot of stuff through the years. I ended up going through a divorce. When I got my stuff on the radio, my mom was the happiest because she was always listening to Coco 94 as it was, Latin hip hop and killer oldies. When they started playing my music up there, she loved it. And then she got to hear other artists like Little One and Little Rob and Mr. Night Owl and Shadow and all those guys, and she liked them. The whole time, my mom always encouraged me and wanted me to stay in that lane because she said I was good. And I just took it as she's my mom, so she's supposed to say that. But the reason I brought this up is because at the same time, though, real quick, I gotta like this one for my mama. Happy 71st yesterday, mama. I love you. I miss you dearly. And I know you're still here with us. And that's why I wanted to share this story to let people know where my influence and my motivation comes from, why I'm still rapping today and why I can't stop. First off, I couldn't stop if I wanted to. I've had times where there was periods in my life where I didn't want to do it and I would get away from it, but something would always call me back to it all the time. It's just something that always pulls me in. Right when I think I'm out, they pull me back in, right? Let's like this for mama real quick. Those that's with me still here, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for paying attention. I hope you're enjoying this, man. Let's spark this up and we'll really get into it real quick. So my mom, she passed away almost 3 years ago from stage 4 lung cancer, right? A few years ago when I had just stopped doing music altogether and really wasn't doing anything, my mom would ask me, why ain't you doing music anymore? Why'd you stop? You're good, Mijo, and I like your stuff. And I'm like, yeah, mom, but you're my mom. You're gonna. And she's like, no, Mijo, you're really good, and I'm like, okay, thank you. And she's like, you should never stop. Well, fast forward a few weeks before she passed, we're sitting at my sister Jessica's. My mom saw I was stressed out because my dad had just died and then she's sick. And We just left California. It's a lot of things going on. She told me, Mijo, why don't you write? You know, you're stressed out and stuff. Just write. And I'm like, I really can't right now, Mom. She goes, what do you mean you can't? Yeah, you can. You just don't want to. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Mom. I don't. She goes, you can't let that happen because there's going to be a time, just like your dad's gone, I'm not going to be here. And then what? Because of that, you're never going to write again? You're never going to rap again? And I was like, it's not that important, Mom. She goes, yes, it is. Because I know that it's something that you love to do. You've been doing it since you were a little boy, since you were a little kid. And I used to see you on the porch writing. I remember when you used to be sitting there and it was trippy because I thought my mom forgot about that stuff. In this conversation that we had about this, she was in the hospital it was probably a week and a half to 2 weeks before she died. She was going back and forth to the hospital, and I'd be up there with her some days, and my sister would be up there with her some days, spending nights over there and stuff like that. The staff at Banner down in Phoenix were really nice to us and really broke the rules to let us stay there with my mom overnight because my mom didn't want to be there at the time by herself. And they had the COVID restrictions and they weren't letting nobody stay there, but they let us stay there with her. And that was very cool of them. And I always, loved them for that. Well, when I was up in there, she's telling me that. And I was like, yeah, I'll get back to it eventually, Mom. I just got to get right with my spirit, with my soul. And she said, Mijo, your world has changed already since your dad died. And she told me in Spanish, she said, y cuando yo me voy, when I leave, your world will be changed forever. She said, that's just what it is. And I was crying at the time. I was in tears and I was like, man, she's like, I just want you to just do me a couple favors. Mijo, she goes, you're the oldest. I need you to do me a couple favors when I'm not here. I told her, I don't want to think about that, Mom. She said, you need to. She goes, you need to think about it. And I'm going to tell you anyway. I said, all right, Mom. She goes, I need you guys to stay together. She meant me, my brothers, and my sister. She's like, I need you guys to stay together and stick together. I don't want you guys fighting. I don't want you guys mad at each other. I want you guys to stick together and be together. And so I said, okay, Mom. She's like, you do whatever you can to make sure that happens and it stays that way. I said, all right, Mom, I will. She said, you promise me? I said, yes, I promise you, Mom. She goes, and another thing. I said, what? And she goes, don't ever stop rapping. I don't want you to ever stop rapping, Mijo. She's like, don't ever stop doing it. It's who you are. It's what you love to do. And you should always be doing it. She said, it's like I'm in a better mood when I'm creating. See, never had a dream to be a rapper. Never gave a shit about it. All I cared about was the business side of it and taking my dope money and washing it and making more money with it. I had big ideas for a lot of things, but back then there was no one really. I had my brothers and a couple of homies, but everybody was doing drugs, behind my back or in front of me. And I knew certain people were doing drugs. I didn't really have a solid core of support. I had support physically, but as far as like someone there making sure that I'm on my P's and Q's and doing what I need to do and making sure that I'm not being ran up on and people ain't trying to do me shady on the unders and all that. There was a lot of slippage going on, a lot of slipping on my part too, trusting the wrong people. But my mom made me promise her that I would never, ever give up writing or rapping. And I said, Mom, at the time I was like, Mom, I'm 45 years old, 44. I'm 44 going up 45, Mom. Like, I'm an old man already. She goes, it don't matter how old you are. It matters what you feel inside and what you're writing down. That you do it right. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's like, just don't ever, for me, don't ever stop rapping no matter what. So I don't care how old you are. Just keep on doing it. I said, all right, Mom, I'll do that. She said, you better. And I started laughing. And she was just like, you should have made it a long time ago, Mijo. But for whatever reason, God didn't want it that way. And I said, maybe God didn't want it that way because I really never really wanted to make it like that. I didn't want the tough schedule. I didn't want the being away from my family. I didn't want none of that because I was the oldest. I kind of ran the whole show with the family in terms of making sure everyone's okay. If somebody needs something, they come to me and shit like that. And deep down inside, I didn't want to be gone all the time. I didn't want to be on the road. I didn't want to be on tour. It was never my aspirations. That's why I tell people I'm not a rapper. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I never sat back and said, "Oh, I want to be famous and I want to be a rapper." And I'm not. I never gave a fuck. I'm a businessman, my brother. I'm a businessman, so I always looked at the music business like Eazy-E did as a way to have exponential growth financially, to make your money work for you. And so I made some money in the music business at the end of the day. I didn't lose money, a lot of lost opportunities, but in the end, like when I dropped that little freestyle the other day, it's not to try to shit on anybody or nothing. It's just to keep my spirit alive, to keep me going. It doesn't matter if people like it or not. I put it out there. Maybe someone might want to hear it. Maybe someone might want to hear, what the fuck's Rob talking about these days? What's Rob on? But you want to know something? The people closest to me that aren't like my brothers and sisters, a lot of them know I'm telling the truth and they don't like it for some reason. Friends, I got friends on my Facebook that I've known 30 years. They don't like it. They don't share it. They know I'm being honest. They know I'm being real. Are they seeing it? Maybe, maybe not. But it's just these days, it's a lot of the phony and fake shit that is getting the notoriety, and that's fine because I never wanted notoriety. It's never mattered to me. And at this point in the game, it doesn't matter to me at all because I'm not in it like that. I'm in it from the soul to where sometimes I wake up and I just got to put a beat on and go. Is it the best in the world? Nah. Is it the greatest of all time? Nah. But when you're in it and you're doing it and you're really coming off the dome and the shit's kind of just going, it's a good feeling. Whether it's a 10 or whether it's a 3, it don't matter. There's a lot of motherfuckers that talk shit about it, but can't do that. Can't do it half as good. Can't even rhyme words, even if it's simple words like I like to rhyme. Put a beat on, grab a microphone and just start rapping. Don't pre-write some shit and then do it. No. Put a beat on raw and feel it and vibe and go from the dome. Because that's what I did. That's what I do. However it comes out, it comes out. But for my mom, I vowed that I would never stop rapping. So I said, I just need motivation to keep going in terms of, I'm always going to write, but somebody's got to hear what I'm saying, whether they like it or not. And for my mama, I'm willing to smash. I'm willing to put the motherfucking pedal to the metal and smash. So who knows? All I know is my mom told me, don't ever stop rapping. And not because she wanted me to be a rapper or she thought I was a rapper. She just knew that was kind of my thing. And some people are like, oh, well, it's not part-time for me. This is my passion, dog. Oh, this is full-time. This ain't just a hobby. Bro, you ain't never stood on your own 2 feet to do anything. You've had bandmates and shit to fucking sit there and help you do it. Try being an artist by yourself, bro, with the odds against you. Coming from the ghetto, from the hood, no, nothing but yourself. No homeboy in there with you, no cousin in there with you, no, by yourself. I took one motherfucker with me to death row, and it was the homie, George Villatoro. He had that experience with me the first time I went. A lot of people didn't believe me. They thought I was just lying and making up stories because that's what a lot of people do, right? To try to get over, oh, I met this person or this person signed to me, that person signed to me, or I signed to this label, I signed to that label. They think it's going to make the music better. I was just telling people I was signed to them because I was. And I thought it was dope. I was like, wow, fuck, you know, I got to meet these guys. They believe in me regardless of what it is. We'll work it out, right? But yeah, mom, I'll never stop rapping regardless, mom. I can't. Especially I never would, but when you told me that and you put that into my heart and in my soul, I'll be rapping. I'll be 75 years old rapping, turning the voice recorder on and going. Is it the best? Is it the greatest? No. But I tell you what, I can't remember the last time I failed when a motherfucker came at me lyrically. There's a dude in Fresno, uh, TA the Handfull. People were telling me about him not too long. I'm like, man, that guy looks familiar. Let's listen to some of his music. Yeah, it's all right. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. The whole I've been to prison, you know, I do this, I do that, all that. The funny thing was, I battled that guy, TA the Handfull. His name's Timmy, right? Tim. I battled him at FTK years ago. He didn't look nothing like that. He had some rainbow colored shoes on. I got on him about the shoes, but I think there was a rainbow bright line in there. I didn't know his real name was Tim at the time. And I dropped some lines in there, whatever. But I won the battle. I battled him right there at the FTK. When I asked for the video, they lost it. They had a video of everyone else, but never had video of me and him when they videoed it. For whatever reason, they didn't provide me with the video so I could put it up on YouTube, and they never put it. So it was whatever. But I beat the dude in a rap battle. So when I see now the dude that he is now, he's obviously been through some things. The dude can rap. He's got a look. He's got a certain energy about him. And that's what's up. The dude's doing his thing. I don't know him personally. But at the same time, you gotta understand how I look at that as a rapper. Was that a long time ago? Yeah, it was years ago. Before he went to prison or whatever happened to him, right? See, I've always been involved in a certain side of life, a certain side of the tracks, if you feel what I'm saying. I was born in that. When I was born, if you look at my birth certificate, we were living in a motel off a Motel Drive. That'll tell you from the beginning that, you know, it wasn't always the easiest. But the reason I bring that up is I'm familiar with shit. I'm familiar with the streets. I'm familiar with the gutter, right? Many different types of people, many different parts of the city. It's different now, of course. The city's more of like, you know, they're trying to turn it like into a hip hop thing. And that's cool. But legitimately, bro, there's a voice of there's a voice from Fresno that lived a certain era and time period. They got a lot of knowledge, a lot of experiences that a lot of other people haven't experienced in that time. And some people did, but they're not artists to be able to talk about it. But I can paint those pictures. When I'm painting those pictures, I'm painting for a generation of motherfuckers from my time that never were out there like that in terms of on the microphone writing or whatever, right? So, you know, am I too old to be rapping? Nah. According to my mom, she told me to never stop. It don't have, you know, an expiration date when it comes to rap and hip hop. Is there a certain level of expectancy, you know, of how things should be gone? And I mean, how they should be done. And yeah, of course. But you got to understand, I never got into rap and hip hop business doing things by the book. I ended up meeting Suge Knight. Was an album cover for my first album was sitting in the studio of my boy James Johnson, Hit Dog, at his house where he used to stay at out there. He had all the dogs and all the cats and everything. It was pretty cool. We used to record in the closet, and Hip told me, hey man, we call that putting in work because there's no air in there. It's airtight. There's no windows, no nothing. It's small. It's hot in the summertime. You be in there sweating, putting in work in that motherfucker. But see, all that experience right there, learning all that, seeing all that, going through all that, you know, finding number one back then, finding a place to record that was credible where you didn't sound like shit, like you were recording on a karaoke machine. Because there was guys doing little albums off karaoke machines back then. And, they never came out and said it, but when I would buy CDs from T-shirt outlet or whatever, there was guys that I don't want to say names, but there was guys that had certain CDs out at the time, and I would buy them from time to time and listen to them, and the quality was trash all the time. Maybe the beat was dope and everything, but you couldn't hear anything. It was, everything was just fucked up. There was no mix, no mastering. The vocals were trash, like a lot of things. So fucking with Hip, nobody had as a rapper other than Local 13 and whoever they fucked with had the clarity, the cleanliness, the tightness of a sound where everything was mixed and mastered at that time. When Suge was hearing it, he was like, man, this stuff sounds clean. Like he wanted to upgrade the production, but he's like, man, everything sounds clean. Where y'all record this at? My boy Hip Dog out there in Fresno, man. This guy do good work, man. Yeah, he does. He does. So, my album that I had recorded with Hip Dog there, we recorded a full-length album. It's a Dirty Job. In I want to say 2000. And when we had some stuff manufactured, because Hip Dog was manufacturing my CDs, he would do the artwork and everything, and I'd buy them like 50 at a time or whatever, 20 at a time, 50 at a time by the box, here and there. Hip would do them for me. And so Hip was very proud, and so am I to this very day, of the first album that we put together, kind of getting to know each other. There was no time there because Hip had a life and I had a life, and I was in the dope game and I didn't have much time. My pager was always going off. My cell phones were always going off because I had a few different products I was getting rid of. It wasn't just one. It's like 3 or 4. So my shit was always off the chain. And I'd be telling Hip, man, I'm losing money recording. I was like, I know you gotta go, bro. There'd be times I didn't give a damn. Me and Hip would kick it. I'd go up in there. I got to a point where I'd go up in there and knock the song out 45 minutes, 40 minutes, come out. Me and Hip Dog would be chilling for 2, smoking weed, bullshit. He'd be showing me other guys' stuff. I'm like, everybody who's recorded. Well, anyways, we're proud of the project that we had finished. And Hip Dog took one of the covers, had me sign it, and put it up on his wall because it was the first full album that he had completed with someone else other than themselves at the studio there. So Hip wanted to put that on his wall, so he put it on the wall. And then when this lawyer came in with another rapper he was trying to introduce for Hip to develop, he started asking about who was that up there, and he told me it was me. And he was asking him, he knows Suge, and he wants to take some guys to Suge for, to get an artist deal with him because Suge's looking for new talent, and he likes whatever he heard, and he wants us to go. So that's how I got to meet Suge. It was my album cover, and because when they asked Hip who that was, and when Hip wanted to put that up there, because had they went in there and never saw that, they probably wouldn't have asked for me. They probably would have asked Hip something else, and Hip probably would have, not really thought much of it. You know, I mean, not to really introduce them, because a lot of people come in saying all kinds of stuff, lying, bullshit, and saying, "Oh, I know this person, I know that person, I'm working with this person, working with that person," just to sound like they're doing stuff to make their to kind of create a buzz or whatever, right? But that's how kind of it was back then, and it kind of is now, but now on the internet. But yeah, so that's how I got noticed. And when I went down there and signed that little deal, my mom was so happy. I was so happy. I got a little check. Already had money from the dope game. That didn't last very long, the thing with death row, because Suge ended up going right back to prison. So everything kind of just died out. When I first went to death row, though, I was looking forward to seeing Crooked Eye. And what do you know? He had just left. They had just shot death row up, I think, a couple weeks before that. There was wood all over the windows and shit when we rolled up. It was boarded up. They had just shot the windows out a couple weeks before that, or some shit, a week before that or whatever. And I just remember that. And it was cool. Were they fixed? No, I don't remember. It was such I think they were already fixed when we actually went. But like a few weeks before that, when we were talking about going, is when they shot the place up. And it was crazy, man. But I went down there and found out, when I started asking people there, "Hey man, where's Crooked Eye?" They're like, "He ain't here no more." I said, "What?" Because Crooked Eye was the dopest guy there right there at that moment. Everybody was gone. But even if Snoop would have still been there, even if Pac would have still been there, as legendary as they are, Crooked Eye is, a legitimate MC. This guy is the real deal, and he's been the real deal for a long time. And possibly could be the only guy that could ever compete with Eminem, battling wise, when it comes to the music industry, not to the battling leagues. But yeah, man, my mom. So that freestyle was from energy from talking about a certain enemy that bit the dust a few months back. And I put this beat on and had the voice recorder going, and I just started rapping. And that's how it came out, and that's how I left it. But the point is, I am who I am because of my mom. And partly because of my dad, but mostly because of my mom. And you're damn right that I'm always going to honor my mom's wishes. So you see me out here rapping and stuff like that, understand where it's coming from. I understand I'm not a rapper. I never wanted to be a rapper. It was never my dream. It was never something I aspired to be. I didn't see that and be like, I want to be that. Nah. I wanted to be the guy in the background making everything happen. That's what I love to do. I don't like to be seen. I like to just make moves and make shit happen. That was my thing. So, for my mama, I'm always going to stay rapping. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. It's just in my soul. And my mom knows that. You know what I'm saying? So, mama, uh, happy 71st birthday, wherever you are, wherever your spirit is out at. I love you. I miss you so much. Thank you for always being there for us. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for always taking care of us regardless of the situation and never giving up on us. And times weren't always the best, but we had a lot of great times. A lot of great times. And thank you for always being there for Junior. And thank you for always inspiring me, Mom, and keeping me strong. And tell Pops to fucking, chill his ass out. Tell Grandma, Tia Stella, Grandpa, Primos, Jose Ángel, and everyone else, Mom, that we miss all of you. We love all of you. And we're always thinking of you guys. And with that, this has been Raw and Uncut, raw reaction, raw content. And I hope you dug this episode. Like, share, subscribe, watch. You ain't got to watch. Hey, thank you to those that are watching. And peace.